Zayn and I have been in love for 10 years, breaking up and getting back together, and being entangled all the time. We have participated in every major event in each other's lives. I know his every quirk, and he has seen every ugly side of me. On the 10th anniversary, he finally knelt down on one knee and proposed to me in front of our mutual friends. While eating, I saw the message he sent to a girl. I don't love her, but I have to be responsible for her. Do you understand? I don't understand. You said in bed last night that I'm the one you can't live without. You are responsible for her and want to marry her. But what about me? Who am I? I love you, isn't that enough? I finished my drink in silence and told Zayn that I needed to go to the bathroom. My cell phone was on the table, my windbreaker was hanging on the back of the chair, and there were shrimps in the bowl that Zayn had peeled for me. In the upside-down wine glass lay the engagement ring that I had worn for less than an hour. I didn't go back. Zayn, I've said break up many times. But those who really want to leave always leave without saying goodbye. I received a photo from a friend while at work. In a famous jewelry store, Zayn was accompanying a young and beautiful girl to choose a ring. My friend said nothing. I think I can understand her thinking. She suspected that Zayn had cheated on her, but was also worried that it was just a misunderstanding. I replied with a period to indicate that I understood. At 6 o'clock, Zayn came to pick me up from get off work as usual. Eat together, go home together, and sleep together. Then, in the dead of night, Zayn put on his clothes and left. I was lying on the bed and heard the door close. Then I sat up and lit a cigarette. This is the 10th year that Zayn and I have been together, but I can't remember how many times he has cheated on me. When I was with Zayn, I actually thought he would cheat on me. After all, I knew from the beginning that he was a playboy, and I was prepared not to be with him for a long time. But we separated and reconciled, and have been entangled until now. To be honest, it's not impossible for this relationship to continue. At this age, my friends all have their own families, and after work, they have to divide the little energy they have left with their husbands and children. We can no longer go on a spontaneous trip like we did when we were young. I feel lonely sometimes, so I need someone who can have dinner with me, chat with me about meaningless nonsense, and meet my physical needs. Zayn and I know each other very well. We have known each other for so many years that I can be completely open and honest in front of him. If I give up on him, I will look for any other man in the future, maybe someone younger, more handsome, and better than him. But it's probably hard to feel as comfortable as when I was with him. I exhaled a long puff of smoke and finally put out the cigarette. I'm not sure what kind of feelings I have towards Zayn now. I only know that, since some time ago, I no longer care about his flirting, cheating, and carelessness. Zayn is a very charming scumbag. I just need to enjoy the emotional value he brings me. As for the rest, it doesn't matter. Life is short, so it seems we should enjoy it while we can. But sometimes, in the dead of night like this, I would pull myself out of my wakefulness and think of myself when I was younger. I seemed to have everything I had ever wanted. Stable job, good salary, and decent living conditions. But I also feel that all this is far from what I had imagined. I rarely felt a little curious about Zayn and that woman. Zayn and I are now living like an old married couple, and Zayn is not on guard against me. He also firmly believed that I would not break up with him because of the other women he had outside. So I easily found the information of that woman. Her name is Luna, and she appears as a small snowflake in Zayn's phone notes. I clicked on her profile picture and saw her hugging Zayn's neck affectionately, and they both made a V sign to the camera. Zayn doesn't have the habit of deleting chat history. So I saw them going to the playground together, camping together, cooking together. Last month, Zayn went on a business trip abroad and took Luna to Switzerland to see the snow-capped mountains. Sometimes I think that this is the process that seems to be followed when a man and a woman get along with each other in this world. At the beginning, we treated everyone to a meal, and in the middle, we bought groceries and cooked. What about the end? There are few couples who can grow old together and support each other, and most of them end up parting ways after the relationship ends. On Friday night, I received a call from Zayn. He said he had something urgent to do and couldn't spend the weekend with me. This is our current life state. We are not very close to each other. We just say something happened, casually, and won't ask each other any more questions. I knew why he was busy. According to my usual personality, my plan this week should be to go to the yoga studio first, and then to the beauty salon. But I don't know what got me thinking. I called Zayn's childhood friend Miles. The call went through quickly, and I didn't waste any words. Do you know where Zayn is going this week? He should be taking Luna to play nearby for 2 days. In their chat history a few days ago, I saw Luna said she wanted to go for a walk around the area, but Zayn didn't agree at that time. There was silence on the other end of the phone for 2 seconds, and then the person answered, I know, we are together. Then he asked me, should I book a room for you? Someone else is paying for the room, so I don't mind. Okay, go ahead and book it. Soon, he sent me the location. It is a tourist attraction nearby. There happened to be a fireworks display this week, which is really suitable for romance. I asked who the people were and found out they were all Zayn's friends. Most of them brought female companions, and for those who didn't, it was not difficult to find one temporarily given their conditions. There is an old saying that birds of a feather flock together. Zayn is a scumbag, so naturally his childhood friends are no worse. This is indeed very common in their circle of rich second generations. And I, who have been immersed in this kind of life for too long, seem to have accepted this unspoken rule that does not violate the law but goes against morality. It was already late when we arrived at the hotel and the fireworks display was about to begin. I got out of the car, threw the keys to the doorman, and saw Miles standing at the hotel entrance waiting for me. I paused for 2 seconds and walked towards him. "Why didn't you go to see the fireworks display?" He shrugged nonchalantly. "I'm not interested in that." "Then why are you joining in on this fun? The hot spring in this hotel is pretty good too. Besides, if I hadn't joined in today's fun, I would have missed you." Because of Zane, I have known his brothers for many years. But after adding a friend, the dialogue box remained in the phone for 800 years, and the chat history only contained the first sentence. "Hello, I am XX. Miles is an exception. He likes me, and from the beginning, he has never concealed it in front of me." In their eyes, as long as both parties are willing, it is not a big deal for brothers to share a woman. Every time Zane and I broke up, Miles would pop up and try to get me to try it with him. I never responded once. It's not that I'm so morally noble that I wouldn't attack my ex-boyfriend's brother, I just think it's unnecessary. Zane and I have been on and off together because we have been entangled for too many years and there are too many emotions involved. But I'm not so hungry that I can't live without men at all. So I don't mind Zane having someone outside. On the one hand, I'm tired of it after all these years. On the one hand, I feel that he and I are actually fair on this point. I could behave like Zane if I wanted to, and he wouldn't mind. The suite that Miles booked for me had a nice view. Looking out from the balcony, I could faintly see some shadows of fireworks. I put down my luggage and simply sat down on a chair on the balcony to enjoy the view. Miles was lying in another chair, asking me why I was suddenly asking about Zane's personal life. I am Zane's legitimate girlfriend after all. Can I ask about this? You don't have to mind it too much. We can all see that Zane's feelings for Luna are just new and will not shake your position as the first wife. I nodded and said I knew. So what is your purpose for coming here today? I propped my temple and said casually, I haven't seen Zane in love for a long time. I want to see it. Miles laughed. If you want to see a man in love, you can find me. He really never misses any opportunity to promote himself. I asked Miles what he liked about me. He thought for a long time and finally threw up his hands helplessly. I don't know. Maybe what you can't get will always make you restless. If you let me get it once, maybe I will let it go. I laughed. Then you should just be a riot for the rest of your life. How heartless. Don't you think this is unfair? Since Zane is having affairs outside, why should you stay pure for him? I remain a virgin, not for him. The atmosphere became quiet for a moment. I watched this lonely fireworks show across the mountains amid the faint sound of fireworks. Miles handed me the phone. In their small group, some people were posting photos and short videos. Among them is the scene where Zane and Luna kiss intimately. I saw the look in Zane and Luna's eyes when they looked at each other, which was full of affection. It was exactly the same look he had when I first got together with him. Zane and I first met during my senior year of high school. Something happened to the John family, and Zane was sent back to his hometown and temporarily transferred to my school. It is rare to see transfer students in the third year of high school, especially Zane, who is dressed in designer clothes and has an outstanding temperament. He is obviously out of tune with the people in our small place. As the class monitor, the teacher arranged for me to sit next to Zane. So I had the unique opportunity to be close to Zane. I liked him at that time, but this liking was not uncommon. I am sure that 100 of the girls in the class had a crush on Zane. It is not necessarily a love between men and women. When faced with beautiful people and things, people can't help but feel happy. Zane's grades are not top-notch, but people from wealthy families never rely on the college entrance examination to change their lives. So while I was studying hard, Zane quickly became friends with his classmates and even started a successful relationship. Finally, he got tired of it and set his sights on me. I ignored him at first, but the pressure from schoolwork and family was almost suffocating me. My subconscious told me that I couldn't hold on any longer and I had to find a way out. So I accepted Zane. He has rich experience in love, so being with him gives me a very good experience and I feel relaxed for the first time in a long time. Later, after the college entrance examination, I was admitted to my ideal university and Zane's family problems were solved, so it was natural for me to go back. I was a little sad at that time, but this feeling was short-lived and I quickly adjusted. I have long realized that the gap between us is too big and we can only be passers-by in each other's lives. The day he left, I was working in a factory during my summer vacation to earn money for college tuition. He came to the factory to see me and gave me a brand-name bag. He said it was his habit and he gave bags to every girl he had dated for a while, and I couldn't break his habit. I accepted it, and when I got off work that night, I took out the bag and examined it curiously and found another 100,000 yuan and a note stuffed inside. Stop working part-time, prepare yourself, get a driver's license, change your look, go see the sea you love, and prepare for college life. A very subtle feeling flashed through my mind at that moment, but it disappeared so quickly that I didn't care. Until I met him again in college. He drove a flashy sports car, took off his sunglasses nonchalantly, and looked at me with high spirits. Hey, Ex-girlfriend, long time no see. At that time, I had a vague feeling that I was finished. There is a high probability that I will fall on him. The first time I realized that my feelings for Zane had deteriorated was during the second semester of my freshman year. I heard from others that he and a sophomore girl are having a hot relationship recently. The first thing I felt was the pain of betrayal. So my reaction that time was very intense. I confronted Zane, and we were blaming each other like crazy. I couldn't accept his fickleness, but Zane said that he didn't ask me to be devoted to him. So why should I have high expectations of him? We parted in an inglorious way, blocked each other, and deleted each other. Occasionally when we met at school, I would stay away from her. I was really sad at that time, but most people in this world, as long as they are alive, will always encounter sadness of one kind or another. I went to class and worked part-time as usual. Apart from hiding in bed crying every night and losing a few pounds, I was not affected too much. Zane still appears in front of me from time to time. He has an aura around him that makes it hard to ignore him. It took me about 2 months to go from being very angry at first to being calm afterwards. 2 months later, on my way back to school after tutoring, I encountered a gangster who wanted to snatch my bag. I was dragged for several meters on a motorcycle, and the abrasions on the left side spread from my calf to my thigh. I called the police, dialed 120, and contacted my good classmates. But the first one to arrive was Zane. I sat on the street corner and looked at him, thinking that my expression was full of stubbornness. But Zane told me later that my eyes were red at the time, and it seemed that as long as he made the slightest sound, my tears would drip down my eyes. So Zane just sighed helplessly, carefully avoided my wounds, picked me up, and took me to the hospital. She was busy running around, registering me, getting medicine for me, and when I was in so much pain from the hydrogen peroxide that I was almost having a spasm, she held my head tightly and calmed me down. After I was discharged from the hospital, Zane prepared 3 meals a day for me. It is not convenient for him to come to the girls' dormitory, so he always orders food for 4 people. I asked my roommate to take care of me. He never asked me about my class schedule, but whenever I left the dormitory to go to class, he would always appear downstairs waiting for me. Eventually, even my roommates changed sides and urged me to give Zane another chance. We were ambiguous for a while, and then I reluctantly got back together with him. I still had some sense at the time and swore that this was my last chance between Zane and me. But I certainly couldn't have imagined at the time that that was just the beginning of a 10-year entanglement between Zane and I. The weekend is only 2 short days. So I only observed the relationship between Zane and Luna for 2 days. It can be seen that Luna is very immersed in this relationship and has a sweet smile on her face all the time. Zane was also quite doting and indulgent towards Luna. Apart from replying to my messages occasionally, he rarely took his eyes off Luna. Miles said that Zane's feelings for Luna were just new, but as someone who has been through this, I think it's more than that. I was somewhat sincere. Give Luna a little more time. Maybe she can really replace me. Miles would send me intimate photos of Zane and Luna every now and then, but he would always add a sentence at the end, still not as good as you. It's not a very clever way of provoking others, but if you say it too often, it will have some impact. I put away my phone and enjoyed this rare vacation while observing. I tried the hotel specialties and also tried the hot spring that Miles raved about. It's really good. Miles never missed any opportunity to offer himself to me, and when he found out I was taking a hot spring bath, he sent me his swimsuit photos without saying a word. 8-pack abs, nakedly showing off. He expressed his willingness to serve me to the utmost. I did waver for a moment, but I quickly regained my senses and eventually put my phone down. The vacation is over and my life is back to normal. Zane managed his time very well, and his love affair with Luna did not affect my relationship with him. I found the day circled in bright red on the calendar in his house, and also saw the order form for the diamond ring. I remained silent about this. A friend sent me a message, asking me implicitly whether I had investigated the truth of the matter. I said, everything has been investigated clearly. She knew that Zane and I were still in a relationship, so she thought she had misunderstood and was immediately relieved. He quickly realized, Zane must have bought the ring to propose to you. You have been in a long-term relationship for 10 years. It is time for you to get married. My children are old enough to help with cooking. My friends have always been worried that Zane and I wouldn't be able to stay together. Zane obviously can't calm down, but I never force him. My friends advise me not to give Zane too much freedom, saying that men need to be pushed. I always agree with my mouth, but don't show any action. On Wednesday night, after Zane and I were being intimate, he said he would be going on a business trip in 2 days. I nodded tiredly and said okay, since I also wanted to go back to my hometown. He paused and reacted. My mother's death anniversary is coming. At this time every year, I go back to my hometown. Zane didn't say anything, but when I got off work on Friday, I found his car parked in front of my company again. I stopped and asked him, aren't you going on a business trip? It doesn't matter if it's a day or 2 later. Zane said, I still want to go back with you. Zane once promised me that he would not let me go back to my hometown alone to visit my mother's grave. After many twists and turns, all the vows and sweet words he had made had become distorted, but on this matter, he never broke his promise. So sometimes I think that there is a reason why Zayn and I have come this far. He knows best where my bottom line is. With Zayn, I am no longer alone on the way home. My mother's grave is on a high mountain. From here, you can see the rolling mountains in the distance. The blue sky and white clouds are so close that they seem to be within reach. I placed flowers on my mother's grave, lit candles, and burned paper money. Zayn knelt down and kowtowed 3 times sincerely, closing his eyes and mumbling something. He met his mother only once, when she was seriously ill. That was long after he and I broke up for the 3rd time. I recognized Zayn's philandering nature and made up my mind not to have anything to do with him anymore. Because it was a peaceful breakup, we kept each other's contact information but just stopped communicating. I was living a busy life when I suddenly received a call from home saying that my mother was in the hospital. The illness was serious and the hospital in my hometown refused to admit her, so they advised me to bring my mother to a big city for examination. My father was a jerk. He only knew how to drink and commit domestic violence since he was a child. But later on, his body was hollowed out by alcohol and sex, and his fists could no longer be swung. So he became a good-for-nothing who only knew how to ask for money. I have seriously reflected on this and realized that the reason I could tolerate Zayn's infidelity was probably because I had my father as a comparison. Compared to using violence against women, Zayn's philandering is really nothing to mention. I work so hard to make money and get ahead, but in fact, it's just because I want my mother to live a good life. She has suffered for too many years. I hurriedly took leave and took my mother to various major hospitals. Unfortunately, because I had no connections, I had to wait a long time for a bed. Finally, my roommate said that she had a distant relative who was the director of a grade A hospital. She used her connections to get her mother hospitalized. I know very well that the one who really has connections is Zayn. I don't know if he was as devoted to his other ex-girlfriends, but at that moment, I accepted his kindness. The director looked at my mother's examination report and frankly told me that the prognosis was not very good, so I should be mentally prepared. My mother kept saying that she wanted to go back to her hometown if the disease couldn't be cured, but I was too scared. I am very afraid that my mother will pass away and I will be left alone in the world. So I begged the doctor to give my mother the best medicine and tried various options. But the results were not satisfactory. Zayn probably heard about his mother's condition from the doctor and sent me a message saying he wanted to visit. That was our first contact after half a year of breaking up, and I agreed. My mother was very happy to see Zayn. She misunderstood the relationship between Zayn and me, so she held Zayn's hand and talked a lot. Zayn agreed to all of his requests and advised his mother to relax and receive treatment. Before leaving, he gave me a card. I hesitated for a long time, but finally accepted it. People always have to bow their heads in the face of reality. I don't want to admit that, when I'm vulnerable, I'm actually very dependent on Zayn. Unfortunately, I failed to keep my mother. Her condition deteriorated rapidly, and faced with life and death, her mother insisted on being discharged from the hospital. She said that even if she was going to die, she wanted to die at home and not in a hospital. I had no choice but to quickly contact a car and use an oxygen cylinder to keep my mother alive all the way. It was a 20-hour drive from the big city to the small mountain village, and I didn't dare close my eyes. When we got home, my mother sat on the chair at the door where she had sat for decades. Within a few minutes, she closed her eyes peacefully. She will finally no longer be in pain. And finally, I am no longer mother. The funeral was a mess. My father doesn't care about anything, and I have been studying away from home for many years, so I am not familiar with many of the customs of my hometown. I wore mourning clothes, but because I was a girl, I was not qualified to keep vigil for my mother. Guests came and went in our house. My father knew that my mother was gone and I would no longer care about him, so he asked my mother how much inheritance she had in front of the guests. My mother did leave me some money, not much, just a few tens of thousands of yuan. But I spent all the money on the funeral, so I didn't have any extra money. My father didn't listen and pulled my arm, forcing me to take out the money. I knelt on the cold ground, surrounded by relatives and neighbors who advised me to wait until after the funeral if I had any problems. They also said that I had been a good child since I was young and they would not ignore him. But my father was incredibly strong and he broke free and raised his hand to hit me. At the critical moment, it was Zayn who protected me. He has betrayed me many times. But at that moment, he really appeared in front of me like a god. I don't know how Zayn found this place. Because of my father, I never brought any friends home, so they only knew the approximate location but not the exact address. But Zayn came anyway, took a plane, a train, and a bus, and asked a lot of people. He and I no longer had a relationship at that time, but he helped me find a doctor, arranged a ward, and paid the medical bills. As an ex-boyfriend, he really did his best. If there was a competition for world's best ex-boyfriend, he would undoubtedly win. But he did come. He gave my father some money to calm him down, and then took over the burden from my hands. As my future husband, he worked with me to receive guests and keep vigil over the coffin and raise the banner. When the night was deep and quiet, I opened my eyes too dry to shed a single tear, rested my head on Zayn's shoulder, and looked at my mother's portrait. Zayn took my hand and intertwined our fingers. He said, "You still have me." Zane's betrayal never really touched my bottom line. He cheated on me, but I could still eat, drink, and sleep. I could live without him or with him. But every time he extended a helping hand to me, it was when I was truly at my most vulnerable and painful. Because of him, I broke my own principles. I knew that if I continued to be with him, I would continue to be betrayed and continue to suffer. But I didn't look back. After the funeral, Zane took me back to school. He didn't let me continue living in the dormitory, but instead placed me in a house he bought near the school. Most of the time, he would just quietly accompany me to and from school, and occasionally, if there was a new comedy movie, he would take me to see it. During the spring festival that year, he did not go back to his home. Instead, he enthusiastically cooked a large table of dishes and spent the New Year's Eve with me while watching the spring festival gala. It is true that he is fickle, promiscuous, and indecisive. But his kindness to me is also real. But I was too fragile and lonely at that time, and I coveted that little bit of goodness. So we talked for another year. This time, it was Zane who broke up. He said he was also surprised that I could talk to him for so long. But it has been too long, and it has always been the same woman, and he seems a little tired of it. I had already graduated and found an ideal job, so I packed my bags and broke up with him very happily. Still having a little withdrawal, but nothing too severe. After 3 months of being alone, Zane reappeared in front of me. He asked me with a smile, "What should I do?" I thought it should be enough, but in reality, I found that it is not enough at all. I should also be special to Zane. It's not that I'm narcissistic, but if it wasn't special enough, Zane has so many ex-girlfriends, he wouldn't come back to me again and again. I will not cross mountains and rivers and go to a remote mountain village alone. He also broke a lot of principles for me. Don't you love me? It seems like I love you. Love? Not too much, it seems. After all, we can't be separated and can't live without each other. I agreed to Zane's request to get back together. Because I think Zane is a good partner, he has money, good looks, and emotional value. As for his promiscuity, as people mature and become more materialistic, loyalty between people becomes less important. After returning from my hometown, the day that Zane had circled in red on the calendar was one step closer. I could clearly feel that Zane's emotions were starting to get a little tense. It was a somewhat strange experience because I had been with him for so many years, and it was so natural. There is almost no tension between us. He was so serious that I started to get a little nervous. I think I am not wrong, but I am afraid that I am being too self-indulgent. It wasn't until the 10th anniversary that I received a call from Zane and arrived at the hotel he had booked in advance as agreed. My friends from far away appeared in front of me with mysterious smiles, put an exquisite veil on me, and handed me a bouquet of flowers. My heart finally settled. I walked up the steps along the winding corridor. Zane was standing at the end of the corridor, neatly dressed, kneeling on one knee, holding a ring in his hand. Proposed to me. It has been a long time since Zane and I had a long talk all night. He used to be a bachelor and is still a playboy. So I'm not sure at what moment he decided to marry me. And I had never been able to imagine how I would react if I were proposed to. Because of this, I have been reluctant to break up with Zane, just to see if I can wait until that day comes. Now, I have waited and I know it. There was no excitement, no joy, and no tears of joy. I walked up to Zane with a gentle smile on my face and held my hand out in front of him. He held my finger and put the ring on my finger. There was even a little tremor in the movements. We kissed amid the cheers and blessings of the crowd, and I hugged Zane quietly, with peace in my heart. That's enough. It's time to stop here. The dinner was lively, and the huge private room was packed. Zane sat next to me, his whole body filled with excitement and heat that had not yet dissipated, and his palms that were tightly holding my fingertips were even sweaty. Everyone was teasing Zane, but as a staunch non-marriage believer, he finally fell for me. I held my chin with a smile, watching Zane's brothers come over one after another to toast. Even Miles came over with a forced smile and drank 2 glasses. Zane was a little drunk. I raised my hand, pinched his earlobe, and asked him with a smile, "Why do you suddenly want to propose to me?" Zane rarely showed his dependence on me. He rubbed my neck like a puppy. "Because I suddenly want to see you in a wedding dress." I said, "Oh," and remembered the chat record I had seen before. Zane once accompanied Luna to a wedding. "So, was that when you started to think about it?" The screen of his phone on the table lit up, and Zane glanced at me subconsciously. I just picked up the food with chopsticks casually. He quickly replied, "I feel like there's really no sense of propriety between Zane and I. One minute he proposed to me, and the next he messaged his mistress right in front of me. Zane, think it over. If you really marry her, we will break up. I don't love her, but I have to be responsible for her. Do you understand?" "I don't understand. You said in bed last night that I'm the one you can't live without. You are responsible for her and want to marry her. But what about me? Who am I? I love you, isn't that enough?" I looked away and picked up another piece of food with my chopsticks. Zane took a hot towel and wiped his hands, then started to peel shrimp for me. I suddenly laughed out loud. He looked at me tenderly. "What are you laughing at?" I thought of something funny. I put down my chopsticks. "I'm going to the bathroom." Zane nodded and put the last peeled shrimp into my bowl. "Then come back soon." I picked up the red wine glass in front of me and drank up the remaining wine in it. Zane started texting on his phone again. I turned around and took off the ring on my middle finger while getting a wet wipe from my bag. This ring is really beautiful and valuable. Unfortunately, my fate with it was only a short hour. The clothes were still hanging on the back of the chair, and the bag was also placed on the chair. There were peeled shrimps in the bowl, and in the upside-down wine glass was the ring I had worn for an hour. Zane, we've talked about breakups many times, both loudly and peacefully. But Zane, the one who really wants to leave, always leaves without saying goodbye. I won't be coming back. When I was young, I had many wishes and wanted to go to many places. I tried hard to recall and visited all the places I wanted to go. Those scenes are indeed as beautiful as in the textbooks, but people's hearts and expectations have changed, so I just think that this is a very beautiful scenery. That's all. As it is said on the internet, one cannot have both youth and the understanding of youth at the same time. So exactly 1 month after leaving Zane, I sent him an email. This officially puts an end to the past between him and me. It takes two to get married. But breaking up, one person is enough. After turning off the computer, I quietly listened to the waves hitting the coastline in the night. I slept exceptionally well that night. When I woke up the next day, I felt hungry for the first time in a long time. I was flipping through the menu on the bedside table. I had just ordered room service, and the doorbell rang the next second. I was still wondering how the hotel responded so quickly, but when I opened the door, I found Miles standing outside. There was a small suitcase at his feet. Although he looked exhausted, he still had the leisure to raise his hand and greet me. "Hi, long time no see." I raised an eyebrow, my hand on the door handle. "How did you find me?" "When you emailed Zane last night, didn't you think we could locate him based on the email?" I nodded. I thought about it, but the person I sent the email to was Zane. "So why is it you who sent the message?" "We let Zane get there first. We can't let him get there a second time." I was silent for 2 seconds and realized that Miles was referring to the time when Zane came to my hometown to find me when my mother passed away. Miles has asked me more than once if he had been the first person to show up at the funeral. Would Zane and I have never met each other? But I neither believed in Miles' feelings for me, nor did I ever consider the what-ifs between him and me. Miles put the suitcase he brought next to my suitcase and lay down on the sofa on the balcony. "You're so heartless. You just left without any hesitation." Miles' tone was lazy. "Do you know that Zane has been looking for you for a month and is going crazy?" I poured him a glass of water. "You look like you're going crazy too. He must have dressed up specially before coming here, but the red bloodshot in his eyes could not be hidden no matter what. That's really too much. Zane, I'm sorry, just dump him. But I've been with you for so many years, and I never went west when you told me to go east. I've been your dog for so many years, and you don't even contact me." He spoke so confidently that even I couldn't help but wonder if I really had lost a piece of memory. He was my lapdog? Why don't I remember it? Seeing my silence, Miles sat up a little straighter, holding his chin with his hand, and still spoke in that nonchalant tone. "You seem to be serious about breaking up with Zane this time. So, you really don't want to consider me. Why do I have to jump from one fire pit to another? How can you be sure that I am a fire pit? I'm in a good mood now and don't want to discuss this kind of problem with Miles. If you came here just to talk to me about this, then I can only ask you to leave." Miles immediately zipped up his mouth and kept silent. I lowered my head and flipped through the magazine for a while, and found that the people around me didn't make any noise, so I turned my head in confusion. I saw Miles half lying on the sofa with his arms resting on his head slightly lowered, sleeping soundly. I can understand why Zane and I have been entangled for so many years, but I can't understand why Miles is always obsessed with me. Maybe it's because what you can't get will always make you restless, but as one of Zane's closest brothers, Miles has witnessed the breakups and reunions between Zane and me from beginning to end. A woman in love is sometimes gentle and sometimes hateful. He knows very well what kind of woman I am, and he shouldn't have any illusions about me. Miles said that Zane had a hard time during the month I was away. He broke up with all the women outside, stopped going to work, and became a completely depressed person. He said that Zane went to many places to look for me, including my hometown and the cities I had traveled to before. He also told all the residents nearby to contact him as soon as possible if they saw me, and he would reward them handsomely. I have to say that Zane understands me. When I broke up with him, my first reaction was to go back to my hometown. When people are hurt, they always subconsciously want to return to their home. As Miles said this, he swapped the cut steak on the plate with the whole steak in front of me. I looked at the steak in front of me, which was the right size and had the cut texture perfectly suited to my preference, and fell silent again. Ever since Miles found me, I found myself being silent more and more often. Because to my surprise, I found that Miles knew me just as well as Zane did. Miles's answer to this is, "You never gave me a chance and never paid attention to me before. Naturally, you don't know how much I have spent on you." I pulled the corner of my mouth with a forced smile. No matter how nice the words sound, Miles and Zane are the same kind of people at heart. How can I believe it? "Hey, are you really not going to forgive Zane this time?" Miles put down his knife and fork and looked at me seriously. I turned my head in confusion. "Forgive what? Didn't you break up with him because he cheated on you?" No. I shrugged. I don't think he cheated on me, so there's no question of whether to forgive him or not. Zayn cheated on me again and again, and the reason was that I gave him chances again and again. I've stopped caring about this a long time ago, otherwise Zayn and I would have broken up long ago. Then why are you? I just simply feel that this is the only way he and I can go. When I look at him, the dopamine secretion stops. I don't look forward to holding hands, hugging and kissing him, nor do I crave his body anymore, or even the emotional value he brings. When people are together, they always have something to gain. For money, for people, and for happiness. I don't want anything from Zayn anymore, so my relationship with him is over. This time the silent person became Miles. He put the steak into his mouth and chewed it slowly for a long time. Clara. He called my name. He seldom addressed me in such a formal way. Guang. You know, I am sometimes quite contradictory. I hate that you've always had your eyes on Zayn all these years. He's no better than me. But no matter what I do, you can't see me. But when you really gave up this relationship so easily, I started to worry again. You don't even want Zayn anymore. So what can I do if I can't compare to Zayn in your heart? Your eyes always stay on me. Aren't you tired of it? Have you ever thought of giving up? I asked him. Zayn and I have been together and apart for so many years, you guys must be tired of it. Everyone is familiar with the story of Xianglin Sa. If you talk about the same thing too many times, even the closest people will get annoyed. It is said that every time Zayn broke up with me, he would get his friends drunk. After so many times, those friends are speechless. They couldn't understand how Zayn could pull off the same woman so many times. Sleeping with your ex once in a while is nostalgic and retro, but getting back together with your ex over and over again is crazy. Miles sighed softly. Clara, a playboy like Zayn, who has been around so many women and has been involved in all kinds of things, but you have never asked him if he is tired of you. I am more self-disciplined than him. I am better than him, and I understand you better than him. Yet you ask me why I am not tired of you. I ignored Miles's nagging and followed my original plan to visit all the places I wanted to go. Zayn showed up at the last stop of my trip. Under the white snow, I was wearing a thick ski suit, goggles and a mask, and I bent down awkwardly to put on my shoes. I don't know how Zayn recognized me from this tight and almost bulletproof outfit. Anyway, when he squatted in front of me to tie my shoelaces, I almost didn't recognize him. He had lost a lot of weight, his hair had grown longer, and he was wearing a black ski suit. He had red lips and white teeth, and there was a hint of the youthfulness between his eyebrows and eyes that he had when I first met him. That's the source of my affection for Zayn. Miles came out after changing his clothes, goggles in his hand. When he saw Zayn squatting in front of me, he curled his lips. It was a smile with mixed emotions. In other words, it can't be called a laugh. But Zayn didn't even look at Miles. He just held my hand and said he would take me skiing. To be honest, I was really looking forward to this skiing trip. I was born in the warm South and have never seen heavy snowfall, nor have I been knee-deep in the snow. Later, I had money to go out and play, but for various reasons, I didn't have the time. So when I saw the photo of Zayn skiing with Luna on his phone, I thought, that's great, I want to ski too. That was also the first time I clearly realized that Zayn and I would not be able to go to the end. Because I no longer have the desire to share or expectations with him. When I want to ski, I wonder if it will be very cold and if it will hurt if I fall. Rather than how much fun it would be to go skiing with Zayn. I looked at the lively scene at the ski resort outside the window, thought for a moment, and asked Zayn if he had seen my email. He lowered his eyes and nodded slightly. I asked him again if he wanted to have a hot drink together. If you have to talk it out face to face before you can give up, then go ahead. I don't want to drag my feet anymore, procrastinate, or be entangled. I ordered a cup of hot milk tea for Zayn, turned around, and saw Miles not far away, and ordered a latte for him. I don't like drinking these, so I just asked for a cup of hot water. Zayn held the milk tea in both hands, and asked me if I was together with Miles. I shook my head and said no. Can you promise me that you will never be with him for the rest of your life? I thought about it, shook my head and said no. The most important thing is to live in the present. As for the future, don't be too absolute. At the beginning, I also thought that Zayn and I would definitely be together forever. I wasn't even afraid of him cheating on me, so what else would I be afraid of? Did you decide to leave because you discovered Luna's existence? No, I left you simply because I don't like you and I don't love you anymore. I don't understand why every man thinks I left Zayn because I couldn't accept another woman. Zayn looked at me with red eyes. After a long time, he suppressed an ugly smile. Clara, forgive me for the last time. I promise that I will never look at another woman again. I will treat you well and be devoted to you for the rest of my life. I can give you everything. But I don't love you anymore. I don't need your wealth or your loyalty. No, you're just angry. Just like when we broke up before. Zayn took a deep breath and smiled more brightly. We will still make up. We will never break up. Zayn, I have no intention of changing your mind. I just have a question for you. You ask, do you remember how long it has been since I shed tears in front of you? Zayn stared at me in amazement. You love me. You have many, many women, some coquettish, some gentle, some wild. You can't love only me, but you love me the most. But from beginning to end, I have only loved you. I accept the unfairness, but you can't ask me to live in unfairness all my life. Let it go, Zane. You know in your heart that Clara is good, but 2, 3, or 4 Lunas combined will always be better than Clara. I put the cup, which was no longer steaming, on the table, stood up, and prepared to enjoy the end of my journey. But I heard Zane's voice behind me. Guang won't be better. There will never be another woman in the world better than Clara. If these words were said a few years ago, I would be very touched and would turn around and throw myself back into Zane's arms without hesitation. But at this moment, I just can't wait to stand in the snow. When I returned to the hotel at night, I met Miles with a bruised face. Seeing me looking at him, Miles pulled his hat brim down uncomfortably. Don't look at me. Zane is in a worse situation than me. Hearing this, I just shrugged nonchalantly. I seem to be a femme fatale who causes brothers to turn against each other, but no one has ever asked me whether I am willing to be this femme fatale. Zane has already left tactfully. Why are you still staying? He didn't leave. He was taken to the hospital by 120. I was caught off guard and choked on my saliva. Miles was not without pride. I told you, he is worse off than me. I think Zane didn't call 110 and capture Miles because of their brotherhood over the years. But it doesn't matter. I believe that before long, they will be arm in arm with each other and act like good brothers again, and maybe they will even say bad things about me behind my back. Having had enough fun, I booked a return ticket. After escaping from society for 2 months, it's time to focus and return to normal life. I got a new phone card and interviewed for a new job. Because my salary has reached a certain level, I plan to sell my old house and buy a bigger one with a mortgage. My friends all complained about me leaving without saying goodbye, but when I thought about the entanglement between Zane and I over the years, I felt there was nothing to say. I treated them to a few big meals, bought them a few bags, went to the bar, and ordered a few male models, and everyone's relationship was restored. Women's feelings are so simple and plain. Zane would still pop up from time to time, following me not too close nor too far. After getting through the most painful period, his condition gradually improved and his sunken cheeks became plumper. I believe that after some time, when his brothers introduce him to someone new and pretty enough, he will be able to get over the shadow of breaking up with me. But what I didn't expect was that after changing to a new job, Luna and I would actually have some interactions. She was the model chosen by the advertising company. I originally just went to the scene to take a look at the progress of the shooting and accidentally made eye contact with Luna. I don't have any special thoughts about her. After all, she and I don't even know each other. The only connection between us is probably that we slept with the same man. But Luna took the initiative to speak and called me in front of everyone, Ms. Xu. I frowned slightly. I really don't like people who can't distinguish between public and private. But in order not to affect my work, I still gave her a business card. She was so impatient that she called me right after work and asked me out for coffee. From the way she looked at me, it was obvious that she thought I was her rival and that she blamed me for her breakup with Zane. She was like a proud peacock, showing me her gorgeous feathers. She said she was younger than me, more beautiful than me, and more free and open in bed than me. If I hadn't been so persistent with Zane, she would have gotten married with Zane long ago. Didn't Zane tell you? He and I have broken up. Luna's show-off came to an abrupt end. Guangji, I knew about you and Zane a long time ago, but I never asked him to break up with you. Ms. Guangdong, instead of showing off in front of me, you should put some thought into how to win back Zane's heart. I already have a new boyfriend. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw my new boyfriend standing in front of the glass window of the cafe, waving at me with a smile. I scanned the QR code on the table to pay, then got up and left. I met my new boyfriend in a bar. He has a gambling dad, a sick mom, and he is a broken man. That's great. I have reached the age where I like to rescue prostitutes. Fortunately, I am now qualified to do so. When my friends found out about my new relationship, their reactions varied. Some people celebrated the beginning of my new life, while others felt that I was careless and had found such a model. But actually, I just simply felt that my new boyfriend was worthy of my attention, and I really wanted to try whether having a relationship with a younger man could rekindle my dead love. The atmosphere during the entire date was very good, except that my cell phone kept ringing, which was a bit disturbing, so I simply turned it to silent mode later. At 10 o'clock in the evening, my boyfriend drove me home. When I got off the car, he was reluctant to leave and insisted that he go to my house and sit for a while. I couldn't resist the temptation of his 8-pack abs and nodded in agreement. As we walked out of the elevator hand in hand, I saw Zane leaning against my door. The corridor was dark, and Zane's face looked a little eerie against the lit screen of his phone. He dialed the number again and again, but the only message on the phone was the same for a century. Sorry, the number you dialed is busy. But he was patient, dialing, hanging up. Dial, hanging up. Keep repeating this process. At this time, I felt that Miss Dong was a bit of a big mouth. She just met my boyfriend and leaked the news to Zane. Does she think that as long as I have someone new around me, Zane will change his mind about her? Hearing the noise, Zane finally turned around and saw me. The expression is very calm. He looked at me and then at the man next to me. Then he asked me, who is he? After all, the new boyfriend was still young and was a little scared by Zane's aura, so he couldn't help but tense up. I patted my boyfriend's back, calmed him down gently, pressed the elevator button for him, and told him to go home and rest early. The boyfriend looked at Zane hesitantly, a little worried. It's just catching up with my ex-boyfriend. It's not a big deal, you know. It's just a cliché drama of a lovelorn man and a resentful woman. Zane is a self-centered person at heart. Before he completely gives up on me, he will inevitably come to me once, twice, and 3 times. As the elevator doors closed, I saw the smile on my face disappear. Zane clenched and unclenched his hands at his sides for a long time before he forced a smile. Actually, you really don't have to break up with me. I really don't mind you seeking something new. Guang, did you find the one just now in the bar? Is it clean? Actually, I have some channels to recommend to you, so you can play with more confidence. Do you have enough money? I'll give you some money. If you want to play, just play as much as you want. I listened to his mumbling quietly, lowered my head, took out a cigarette from my bag and lit it. The curling smoke blurred my vision for a moment, and I stared at Zane without saying a word. The smile on his face became uglier and uglier, and finally, he could no longer maintain it. Let's not break up, okay? His voice was so low that it seemed to be sinking to the dust. As long as we don't break up, I will support you no matter what you do. Zane, when did you switch to pimping? I asked him. Is that the kind of woman I am in your eyes? Clara, I really hope that you are this kind of woman. If so, at least I still have a way to keep you. 10 years. We have been together for 10 whole years. Zane said, his voice finally choking. He looked at me from a distance, full of despair and unwillingness. Why do you say you don't love me? Then you don't love me. This was the first time I saw Zane cry. His life had been so smooth that there was really nothing to cry about. Guang Zane, I'm not saying I don't love you. You know my personality. I'm a cautious person. I need to spend a long time to decide whether I love you or not. I didn't love you that much at the beginning. We were together just as a frivolous joke. I didn't mean to cling to you. Guang, it is you who come back to me again and again, and make me feel again and again that you are my support. My love for you has grown from shallow to deep. When I loved you the most, I could do anything for you. But you never accept my deep love. You know very well how much I can't live without you. But every time when I am at my lowest point, there will be a new person by your side, reminding me to stay sober. You make me feel that my sincerity is really cheap and not worth mentioning. I walked up to him, reached out my hand, and caught his falling tears. There was a relieved smile on his face. Look, you are so sad now, but I don't feel any pain at all. I really don't love you anymore. Zane, we can't go back. I can't maintain even a forced harmony anymore. Zane's voice trembled. Do you hate me? No. I shook my head. I don't hate you anymore. After being apart for so long, have you ever had a moment, even for a second, where you thought about getting back together with me? I looked at him and answered firmly, no. Not once, not at all. Early that morning, I was awakened by a strange phone call. After the call was connected, there was a noisy voice on the other end. I held the phone in my hand, regained consciousness, and understood the other party's identity. I blocked Zane's number, so he must have called me from one of his buddies' phone. Neither he nor I said anything. Just before I hung up, Zane finally spoke. I suddenly remembered that I have something to say to you that I have never told you before. Clara, I love you. Guang doesn't know when it started. It's too late to say this now, but I still think I should give you an explanation. Tears suddenly welled up in my eyes, in big drops, and I couldn't stop them. I tried to keep my eyes open in the dark and stared at the ceiling. Before I could sob, I hung up the phone. It's not that I'm moved. It's not that I'm reluctant to leave. It's not that I still have any attachment. It's just very sad. I feel sad about the injustice I have suffered over the years. It's sad to realize belatedly that I have been waiting for this sentence for a really long time. During the years, I have been quietly waiting for a flower of youth to bloom. Now, the flowers are finally blooming. But my heart has already ended. It's a pity that we missed it after all. Life has to go on, and a few days later, I received a message from my boyfriend, in which he tactfully expressed his intention to break up with me. I called him directly and asked him the reason. He hesitated to explain, so I asked directly, "Who threatened you?" Zane. No. I thought for 2 seconds and asked him again, "Miles?" The boyfriend was so scared that he hung up the phone. I stared at the phone screen that was hung up and raised an eyebrow. Miles has been uncharacteristically quiet lately, and I thought he had finally given up on me, waiting for me here. When I opened the moments, I saw that one of Zane's brothers posted a status last night. I am so exhausted because of her. The accompanying picture is a photo of Zane drunk and lying on the bar. Even if you don't want to use it, you know that this update is sent specifically for me. I clicked on it, enlarged the photo, and noticed in the lower right corner that Miles was playing with his phone with his head down. He is so busy. He has to comfort his brothers here and threaten his love rival there. Even the president is not as busy as him. I snorted and put away my phone. When I got off work, I saw Miles' car parked in front of the company as expected. I carried my bag and ignored it. Miles drove up to me, rolled down the window, and asked me with a smile, "Miss, are you interested in having dinner together?" For the first time, I reflected on myself and wondered if I had made a mistake by buying a house just a 15-minute walk from the company for the convenience of work. If I drive to and from get off work, I should be able to avoid Miles' harassment perfectly. It was rush hour after get off work, so he was driving slowly and the cars behind him were all honking their horns. But Miles's mental state was surprisingly good and he didn't feel uncomfortable at all. In the end, I couldn't stand the pressure anymore, so I took a deep breath, opened the car door, and sat in the passenger seat. Turning his head, he saw that Miles' mouth and cheekbones were covered in bruises. "What are you doing?" Zane, who was beaten and hospitalized, has recovered. It makes no sense that Miles' injuries haven't healed yet. This? Nothing. We had another fight a few days ago. Or with Zane. More than. Oh, or a gang fight. They say you can't bully your brother's wife. I don't know where their sense of justice and morality comes from. Miles said, feeling a little aggrieved. Besides, how did I bully him? Aren't you the one who bullies me? I often feel speechless when I am with Miles. He took me around the city during the evening rush hour for almost 2 hours. Finally, I couldn't help it and asked him, "Where are you going to take me?" "Finally you spoke? I thought you were going to ignore me forever." Miles smiled. "There's a pretty good French restaurant, small portions and delicious food. I've wanted to take you there for a long time. How about you give it a try?" I managed to hum. Miles has a picky taste and he can recommend good restaurants, so I was not disappointed. I looked at the menu and the prices were staggering. With my current income level, it's not that I can't afford it, but it still hurts. Miles handed me a membership card. "Come anytime you want to eat." Sometimes I'm really shocked at how much Miles knows about me. While eating dessert, Miles mentioned that Zane was admitted to the hospital again due to alcohol poisoning. If you get back together with him now, he'll probably be so touched that he'll give you all his assets. Miles said with a smile, "What delicacies would you like to eat then?" I nodded. "You're right. In fact, it's not torture for you to continue to be with Zane. If you don't want him, then at most you want the money. Are you here to act as a lobbyist today? You want to persuade me to get back together with Zane?" I looked up at him. "Just chatting. After such a long time, you and Zane should be calm enough. Tell me, what do you think now?" "Miles, I can't just go for his money when I'm someone I truly love." "That's perfect." Miles clapped his hands happily. "You've never loved me, so you can just take advantage of my money, right?" I looked up at him expressionlessly. "In terms of wealth and status, I am no worse than Zane. In terms of physique and physical strength, I am no worse than that little kid you're dating. So, you really won't consider me?" Miles was still trying to recommend himself. "You're starting a new relationship so soon. Aren't you just trying to dilute the impact of the past 10 years? Zane hasn't given up on you yet. If you date 10 or 8 more people, he'll definitely want to sabotage you. But when you date me, you don't have that worry at all." I put down the knife and fork in my hand, held my chin and asked him, "Why me?" You should know that I'm not like the wardrobe you used to share. If we really talk, it won't just be you and Zane who become enemies. Is it worth it?" I have asked Miles this question before. His answer at the time was, "What you can't get will always cause you trouble. I talked to you. No matter how long it took, no matter if it was true or false. What if you suddenly feel that I have destroyed your brotherhood and take your anger out on me? Then wouldn't I be at a disadvantage then?" Miles thought for a moment. "Are you free tomorrow? Let's go to the real estate bureau." "Do what?" "I'll give you 2 properties. This way, if I really regret it, you won't lose too much. If this kind of gift is really investigated, I should be required to return it for free, right?" "No, I'll let my lawyer prepare the documents first." I shook my finger. "I don't want real estate, I want cash. How sincere you are depends on how much cash you can give me." After eating and drinking, I stood up with my bag and blew Miles a kiss. "Call me when you are ready." When I got home, I unexpectedly received a call from a friend. She said she was sorting out old photos and videos. I asked her with a smile if she was starting to miss the past as she got older, and she giggled and agreed with me. She suddenly changed the subject and asked about Miles. "Zane and I have been together for so long that our friends overlap, and Miles has even attended a friend's wedding. But my friends didn't know that Miles had pursued me. Why are you suddenly asking about Miles?" I went into the bathroom, put my phone on the sink, tied my hair up, and prepared to remove my makeup. "Have you ever thought of a possibility?" "What's possible?" "Miles might like you." "That's a possibility." I paused and looked at myself in the mirror. "Why do you have such an idea?" "When I got married, the wedding company sent me a lot of unphotoshopped photos of the wedding scene. I never looked at them carefully until my husband pointed them out today." My friend paused and said, "My husband said that in the photos. Whenever you and Miles are in the same room, Miles' eyes are on you 80 of the time. Guang looks at you more often than Zane does." I also found a video by accident. "Do you remember your 25th birthday? Zane invited many friends to go camping in the suburbs." Of course I remember. It was indeed an unforgettable birthday. In order to prepare a surprise for me, Zane contacted good friends of both sides without my knowledge and invited them to celebrate with me. Bonfires, tents, fireworks, cheers of joy, and a chaotic cake-smearing battle. I never thought about it this way before, but when I watched the video just now, I found that Miles's feelings towards you are really intuitive. A friend sent me that video. I actually don't remember the specific situation at the scene. I just remember that I was very happy and attacked almost everyone indiscriminately, including Miles. I was still deeply in love with Zane at that time. Knowing how Miles felt about me and how much Zane cared about his brother, I always avoided Miles. But that day was an exception. I was so emotional that when Miles passed by me, I smeared 2 globs of cream on his face. Under my friend's camera, I smiled brightly. Miles also smiled and tried to smear the cream on my face, but I quickly dodged it. The camera flashed to show Zane and I playing with each other. I don't love Zane anymore, but these memories are still meaningful. Maybe it was because my emotions had faded. This time my gaze finally shifted away from Zane and I saw Miles in the corner of the camera. He stood at the edge of the tent, looking at me from afar, with a gentle expression on his face that was unfamiliar to me. Miles is always careless and nonchalant in front of me. To me, all his emotions and dedication seemed too easy and inexplicable, so they didn't seem sincere. I never gave him credit. But in these few brief seconds, I seemed to have caught a glimpse of his true heart hidden beneath his casualness. He took out his handkerchief and carefully wiped the cream off his hands. But the cream on my face was put on by me. In that chaotic cream battle where it was almost impossible to tell the difference between humans and animals, I was the only one who put cream on his face. Then he ate it all bit by bit. I remained silent and exited the video with a tap of my fingertips. Then I saw the photos my friend sent me. At the beautiful wedding scene, I wore a light bridesmaid dress, intimately held my friend's arm, and made a funny V sign to the camera. Miles, who was not far away, just looked at me quietly. Even in that group photo of dozens of people, Miles and I were very far apart. But Miles just tilted his head and looked in my direction. Actually, my friends didn't invite Miles to that wedding at first. Although they can be considered as friends, to be honest, my friend and Miles have only met a few times and have no personal relationship at all. If he really sent an invitation, it would seem that my friend only wanted to make money. It was Miles who took the initiative to ask to attend, because I was the maid of honor and Zane was the best man. Miles said, "After all, we are friends. I can share in their good fortune, and maybe I can find my partner sooner." But everyone knows how many romantic interests Miles has. If he really wants to be single, he doesn't need to seek out happy events. He can just post a circle of friends, and countless women will line up to get him. I remember Miles said calmly, "I never set my sights on him and refused to give him any chance. So I can't see his sincerity." I waited for Miles for 3 days. He sold most of his properties, funds, and stocks, and the piles of cash accumulated took up half of the living room. This was the first time I felt the weight of cash so intuitively. Miles handed me a document calmly. "It's all yours, including the house." He said, "Actually, I can get more, but it will take more time, and I can't wait any longer. So, can I pay in installments?" It's strange that I am shocked by Miles' wealth, but not moved by his almost desperate measures. I also had this thought with my boyfriend whom I had only been dating for a few days. This is the after effect of breaking up with Zane. I have so many memories and touching moments, so I knew from the beginning that after I got away from that relationship that almost cost me half my life, I maybe, probably, no longer be able to feel any love. I have experienced the ups and downs of love. Starting another relationship, good or bad, is just a repetition of the path I have taken before. I took the document from Zane, turned to the end, and signed my name neatly. No need to pay in installments. I feel your sincerity. I turned to look at him and extended my hand to him. Then from this moment on, you are my boyfriend. I'm no longer interested in unforgettable love. But as a spice of life, I think it's nice to have a relationship with someone who has money, looks, and no harm. Miles didn't hold my hand. He just took a step forward and looked at me tentatively. I looked at him and didn't step back. Then he leaned over slightly and gave me a light kiss on the forehead like a dragonfly touching the water. He said, "Clara, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for your help. You have the right to call a halt at any time, and I will accept it at any time." I asked provocatively, "If I say stop now, will you agree?" He smiled and took out his cell phone. "Then at least let me take a picture as a souvenir." I took his phone, opened it, and looked up at the camera. Miles was standing behind me, stretched out his hand, and made a yes sign next to my cheek. "Okay, you can post on WeChat moments now." I handed the phone back to him. Miles really took the phone and started editing the copy. He typed for a long time, and finally just sent a spinning penguin emoji and attached a photo of him and me. Almost the next second after the message was sent, my phone and his phone rang at the same time. But we did the same thing. We turned off the phone. "Well, girlfriend, let's go on a date." "Okay, boyfriend."